This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Psychologists use various approaches to study behaviors and conscious experiences. The socio-cultural approach is based on the idea that society and culture shape cognition. The values, beliefs, and language are all involved in shaping identity and reality. Understanding cognitive processes takes more than an individual. This approach focuses on human development, interrelating it to human action. Here, we see that human development starts with its dependence on caregivers. This is influenced by the transmission of resources from the caregivers to the dependencies. The genetic law of development that focuses on human development has an influence from the interaction mode, which makes it social. The ability to function in any individual comes from first social and then psychological. An individual's behavior is influenced by the environment, and then later, he/she advances in whatever skills or knowledge he acquired by interacting with others. Why do I say this? Let's look at a child's development from birth. When a child is born, it solely depends on the parents and, in this case, the mother for all its provisions. Its cognition or mental development is influenced by its environment. The kind of attention and language the child gets is from the surroundings. This explains the social effect. The child learns the ways of its people, hence influenced culturally. This totally defines the child's growth. The child will not act as if it was not taught, but rather as if it was taught. The events of remembering, problem-solving, and decision-making in the future are therefore influenced by society. Cognition refers to the mental process which is solely based on development with the influence of the environment. An individual employs other forms of living that he/she has never encountered, hence, our own culture becomes our main influence in life. Human beings can adopt other cultures when they move away from the reach of their own culture. This adoption is basically due to the nature of the surroundings. Weaknesses and strengths of the socio-cultural approach. Every approach has disadvantages and advantages. This does not nullify the studies, but rather explains various points of view of different researchers. Due to the similarities that the socio-cultural approach has with the other forms of approaches, it has been termed the most advanced approach in research work in terms of its richness of information for psychological studies. One of the main weaknesses is the tendency of generalization. The studies are restricted to portions or groups of individuals in society. This does not give an actual picture for the wider generation. As these studies are extrapolated for the wider group, the essence of social studies is lost because different groups of people in society function differently. Another weakness of the socio-cultural study is the ethics of the study process. It is evident that many individuals are inflicted with emotional stress. This is non-ethical as the well-being of an individual should be the first aspect to be considered. The findings could also be adulterated since the results are not based on the real individual's feelings, but rather on the imposter's feelings. It is very difficult to study social behavior without negatively affecting the participants. Thus, safe modes that can protect human beings should be employed. In addition to ethics, it is very challenging to control experiments. This is because the behaviors of participants in the real world do vary. Hence, the socio-cultural approach does not provide real results from the study. The main strength in the event of studying socio-cultural aspects is the use of real situations in behavioral studies. This is important because human beings are social beings. Real situations increase ecological validity, hence making research more useful. Socio-cultural points of view take into account most of the features in the other forms of psychological approaches. It encompasses cognitive, psychodynamic, behavioral, and biological aspects. These views have been influenced in terms of the developmental process, which concerns human stages of development and cultural aspects that constitute the surroundings. As the discussion revolves around society, the biological aspects cannot be overlooked. Socio-cultural approach and behavior. The theory of the social-cultural approach to psychology has proved a lot about the social status of every human being. This has been exhibited in the behavior of various individuals. Humans are social beings, therefore, their behaviors are solely influenced by their next-door neighbors. This is the reason why human beings are so friendly. Human beings always want to identify with their culture and the society at large. Any individual would want to be differentiated from other animals, which are considered to be primitive. Through the demonstration of capacities, human beings would go to any extent to fight for their existence in the world. In addition, human beings are always innovative and are always trying to change society to become a comfortable zone. In terms of proximity, research shows that a human being would befriend someone who lives in the same neighborhood as him or her. For the ancestors, their mere exposure effect was adaptive. This meant that what was familiar was safe. Physical attractiveness also tends to explain why human beings are social. Different cultures have different ways to measure attractiveness. Appealing traits such as honesty and trustworthiness seem to make people gather and involve themselves with other members of society. In addition to physical attractiveness, similarity also explains why humans socialize. Close friends are more likely to share common views, beliefs, habits, and intelligence. This explains the cultural influence. When we find people who share similar beliefs with us, we tend to identify with them. In such circumstances, one feels more secure than he or she would with other forms of animals. One main aspect that has promoted this closeness is language. This, in the cognitive form, has been advancing from time to time. Language development is influenced by the cognitive part of the individual. Therefore, behavior and development are interrelated. As human beings develop, they are influenced by their surroundings. This also changes their mental development. Therefore, the socio-cultural approach explains why human beings interact. Did you like this socio-cultural approach to psychology sample? To get more works like this one, make sure to check out the free database of academic paper examples at ivpanda.com. You will find thousands of samples for all your study needs, without even having to register.